Hey, this is Cheryl Spangler, and I wanted to do a couple videos. If you haven't seen one of my most popular how-to videos, I started a YouTube playlist called Funnel Hacking for Realtors, but forget the realtor part. It's for anyone. I realized that thousands of views and hundreds of comments are on a very, very simple video I did called How to Connect Your Subdomain in GoDaddy to ClickFunnels. And it was one of the first things you have to do, of course, to get a site to work. You got to connect your GoDaddy. And that's been one of the most watched, commented videos. So I thought I would go back and do a couple really simple things that I forget that I know how to do, that when you first start ClickFunnels, you're really confused. And there's just some simple things. You just want someone to show you how to do this one thing so you can move past it, right? So anyway, you'll get a little insight into my ClickFunnels and how I flip around. I'll try to speak slowly. But basically today is how to create a broadcast email in ClickFunnels. And I know that ClickFunnels has an amazing support. They've got so many videos. Just go to YouTube and Google it. But I'm going to do another one. And hopefully, if you're having trouble, this one will clarify stuff for you. So the first thing is that if you don't have access to do broadcasts, you're going to be confused. And how you will know is if you go up to the top right of your ClickFunnels account and you go to account settings, just go to account billing and you'll see whether you have Actionetics. If you are subscribed to Actionetics, you have broadcast capability. If you're not subscribed to Actionetics, you do not. And why do I pay $347 a month? Because basically, the more people you build in your lists, the more contacts you have, the more you get charged for Actionetics. That's just how it is. So when I first started, it was $297 a month, and then it just grew the more people I added. So that's just how they do it. If you don't have Actionetics, you cannot send broadcasts, and you'll know because the broadcast section, well, there's a couple different ways you can get to send a broadcast. Okay. Number one, you can go up to the top, click on follow-up funnels, and you'll see broadcast. And I was going to show you a different way, but that's basically how you do it. You go up here to follow-up funnels, you click on broadcast. So let's just get right into it. There's just a couple things that I remember when I first started that were funky. And so I'm going to try to flip around on a couple of those things. So basically, initially, you don't have anything. I have a lot of unused lists because I didn't know in the beginning what the difference was between a smart list and just a regular list. I didn't know that if I made a list, so let me just show you. I'm going to do a test list. First thing you do is before you can send a broadcast email, you need to have a list of people to send it to. So you either need to go into an old, you need to go into your Google Mail or go into your MailChimp or go into wherever you keep your list of people and their names and their emails, and export them into a CSV file and import them into here. Because in order for you to send a broadcast email, you have to have a list to send it to. And that was not my problem. My problem was that I was creating a bunch of lists and didn't know what I was creating, because there's all kinds of different lists. There's some to broadcast to, and there's some just follow-up lists. So let's just say I want let me just do one thing real quick. Let's just go to email lists. Okay, so I have all these lists. A lot of them are unused, but basically, if I go down to, I don't know, let's say, anything with a hat is something you can send a broadcast to. Okay? Anything with this, the dots, this is like a follow-up list. So I didn't know in the beginning that, let's just add a new list for a minute. Let's just say test list for YouTube. That's the name of the list. You can group it into, I don't know, You can group it if you want. But every single time I used to create an email list when I first started, I would click this smart list. I didn't know what it meant, but I would do it. And basically it says create a dynamic smart list that automatically adds and removes customers as they meet filters. I didn't know what that meant. So what that means is that if you create a list in ClickFunnels and you choose, don't do this by the way, and you choose smart list, initially just don't do that. What you're doing is you're not creating a list that you can directly broadcast emails to. You're creating a list that once you collect people's names, if they meet certain criteria that you have tagged on them, they would automatically be put into the smart list, which would then receive follow-up funnels. So the purpose of, so if you just think of like a person on the internet subscribes to something and they become a part of a list, and the minute they subscribe to something and become a part of that list, whatever they bought, let's say they bought a keychain, they would be tagged with the words, bought keychain. Well, let's just say someone else became a part of the list and they bought a knife and they were tagged bought knife. Someone else came through this website page and became a part of this list, but they bought a pen and they were tagged with the words bought pen. The smart lists would be the lists pertaining to the tags. So the initial list people are a part of is one that we're going to create right here without clicking smart list. That's like the main list. But then you want to tag people. If they buy a pen or a knife or a keychain, you want them to go into a follow-up list, and that's called a smart list. And the smart list is something that when people do one thing, depending on what they do, they're tagged and put into this kind of secondary list. And in that list, you hyper target them. So if they bought a knife, you would target them with all different kinds of accessories for knives and sell them things. So that's what that. But the thing is, once you identify a list as a smart list, you cannot directly email that list. So you cannot send broadcasts to it. So that's something really important to know. Probably caused me the most trouble in the beginning. So I'm just going to create a new list and I'm going to call it test list for YouTube. All right, so there it is. It's blank. And so now that we have a list created, that's just to show you how to create a list. But since there's no one in it, I can't actually send a broadcast to anyone. But I'm going to walk through creating a broadcast email to lists I do already have. So let's just say you go to broadcast. You can go to the left of the screen, or you can go up here to follow-up funnel, click broadcast. You can get to it from the top. You can get to it from the left. And you start by just clicking new broadcast. So the broadcast name is what you are going to name the broadcast. This is not something the client or customer or end user, internet user will see. This is something for you. And so we're just going to say test email broadcast for YouTube. This is something so you can figure out inside of ClickFunnels what you named the broadcast. The broadcast type is email messenger. Don't confuse that with Facebook Messenger. That just means you're going to send them an email. That's it. You're going to send them an email. Now, I just happen to have some third-party apps connected, but don't mess with those. Just click, you're sending them an email. You can group tag this email. Let's just say you're going to send 5 broadcast emails to the same group. And so you want to, group tag it. Like I did a 14-day challenge. And so I wanted every single email broadcast to be group tagged, into that. But for this, I'm just going to put nothing. Just put the Cheryl Show. Send from. This is where you need your email integration already configured. I already have an email. I already have a YouTube video on how to configure your SendGrid account or email integration. You can Google that. You can go to my YouTube and search for it. It's called How to Integrate SendGrid into ClickFunnels. But basically, you already need an email configured into ClickFunnels in order to do this, because you cannot send a broadcast without some type of email integration already configured. I have 3. You can actually, in this account that I have, where I pay pretty much like the max per month. I can integrate 3 Stripe accounts and 3 email accounts. The from name. This is important because when you receive an email, you can make it sound like it's from anything. For example, okay, Revolve. Revolve is a clothing manufacturer that I absolutely love. And this little name right here, you could make it say revolve your favorite, revolve space, your favorite clothing store. So the from email can say whatever you want. If you want it to say Cheryl Spangler, just say Cheryl Spangler. But if you want it to say your girlfriend and really freak your partner out or whatever, it'll look like it's from your girlfriend. It won't say from the name of the person. This is the name that it looks like the email is coming from. So that's important to know because you can title it all kinds of things. You can title it your favorite realtor. You can title it your finance guru. You can literally fake people out and say from Tony Robbins. So the from is customizable. You can literally make it look like it's from anyone. People don't realize that. They think, I got to put my name in there. No, you can bring it from anyone. All right, so who will receive this broadcast? So this is the one thing that tricks people up. You have to have a list ready to send to. But that's not the tricky part. But I'm just going to pick one. I'm just going to pick one, for example, BSI. That's a group that I have, which is called the Business Sphere of Influence. There's a bunch of people in there, business partners. And you'll see that there's really no number here that shows you how many people are in that list yet. Okay, so don't freak out. You select the list you're going to send a broadcast email to. And then you click this X button because you want to send it to everyone in the list, regardless of whether they engaged in the last 30 days. A lot of people don't engage with you. There's no reason to engage. Sometimes you don't have calls to action. You don't have a reason for people to engage. They never respond back. They receive everything all the time, but they never respond. So if you don't if you don't X this off, it will only try to send to people who have engaged in the last 30 days. So if you haven't collected any new emails in the last 30 days, it'll literally send it to no one. So I always X that off no matter what and leave everything else the same. And even though you don't see the amount of people it's going to send to, you click the next button anyway. Because the next screen is where you're going to see how many people right here. Send list count, 46. There are 46 people in this list, but you're not going to know it until you get to this screen. So this is the subject of your actual email. Subject of my email. Now, pre-header. Pre-header is like if you receive an email, here's a pre-header. Women in business is the from. They misspelled that, but claim your spot on next week's networking luncheon is the subject. This is the pre-header. Pre-header, you can make the pre-header look like anything you want. So you can kind of make it look like what's inside the email, but it's not inside the email. I know it sounds confusing, but the pre-header is like the eye-catching, juicy words that make people want to open it. You wouldn't believe what Cheryl did to her client. ... That sentence will then show up here in this light gray. And you'll be like, oh man, wonder what's going on there. So this is like the enticing words that make people want to open their email. The subject needs to be good and the pre-header needs to be even better. So if you have previously created an email and saved it as a template, you will find those templates inside your ClickFunnels account right here by clicking on user. I have all these templates. So everything that I've created, a variety of stuff, I always save a template because it's just a pain in the butt to go back and recreate it. Even their templates, you still have a lot of customization to do. The system templates give you plenty of things to go by. And you can say next and go through more of theirs. But I prefer my own user templates. I'll show you in a minute where to save that. So let's just say I pick one of my templates, select template, and you can see that it's going to send to 46 people, the from email, the group it's in. Here's where you would say save as template, but after you edit it. So if you edit it and let's just say you delete this. Hey friend, just sending you this broadcast email. Fill in everything you want. Now the thing about these email broadcasts, inside of this email editor, it's basically like creating a ClickFunnels page. You can edit it and add to it just the same. Meaning there's orange. So see, you can do the plus sign. So it's just like literally editing a ClickFunnels page. And you can add an image, or you can do like a bulleted list, or you can add social media links, or you can add a separator. You can add a button. You can add another row. Let's just say you want 2 rows. Here, this added 2 rows. And let's just say here I want an image. Here I want an image. See, I mean, you can literally make your email so cool. And then you can save that as a template on this one. And so then if you have a graphic, you would just click on this and it'll open this up and say select image. And then if you don't have something already added, you can say choose file and literally add it from, your computer. And then you make sure you save. You can do preview. And so you preview what the email will look like when it goes to the person. And then you close it. But if you want to save it as a template, you got to click this. When you save as template, which that just did, see this little green thing, your email template was saved successfully. Then it will show up, go back one. I don't want to go back out of this, but it'll show up under the user tab. So anyway, let's just say, okay, so we've got it the way we want it. We've saved it as a template, and then we do next. Don't worry, it's not going to send it without you confirming. You can either choose to send now, or you can save it as a draft, or you can schedule it as a later date. And so you can either pick, I'm going to send this on the 21st. Today's the 19th. I'm going to send it on the 21st. And you can even send like a particular time, or you can save it as a draft. But whatever you do, you choose now or later and press next. Have no fear, it's not sending it yet. The last screen is where you would say queue to send. But before even that, I come over to the right and I'm like, okay, well, this is what the email looks like. Here's where it's scheduled to be delivered. But I just want to know what it's going to look like for me. So I send a test email. All of this can be done before you actually queue it to send. Because it's going to send it on the 21st. And all that stuff is going to send it to 46 people. And all that's good, but you still want to send yourself a test email. And it takes a minute. I'm just refreshing. Yeah, it takes a minute to populate. But basically, when you're ready, you press Q to send. Now, let's just say you don't want to send it right now and you want to just say draft broadcast. By default, when you create it, unless you send it, it's creating it as a draft. See? Draft. So if I don't send it and I go into broadcasts, I just click the left side broadcasts. And I want to say, what have I created that I haven't sent yet? Because I know I didn't send that. So what happened to it? Well, I can create a new one, or I can just go to drafts. Test email broadcast for YouTube is sitting there. Click on it one time, and it basically opens this, and just you can do edit settings, and then you're back to where you started, where you're editing the draft. Let's see if that email came in. Yes, it did. So see how this is from Cheryl Spangler. My subject was subject of this email. And this is the email because I didn't customize it, but that's what it looks like. And that's it. That's how you send a broadcast. Don't get stuck on, I don't know how many people it's being sent to. You got to walk through each screen, get to the end, and make sure you X out that button of only sending it to the people from the last 30 days. Hope this helped on how to create a broadcast email in ClickFunnels.